More than 1 year has passed since I have the Triban 100 by B-Twin. When I bought it, I was surprised by its low costs, its looks, and most importantly, it being a bike that just works. I just couldn't imagine that this would be possible at a price point of only €260. But even though my Triban had brought me from place to place reliably for quite some time, I started feeling like I could get a lot more out of this budget bike. So I started to gradually replace any component on my bike that would bother me. The result looks like this, and despite my Triban being visually just slightly different from the original, the difference in driving characteristics is like night and day. Let's jump straight into it and start all the way up the top. The original saddle serves its job okay, but it's far from a saddle that would be appropriate for a road bike. So I changed it to a Sally Italia Flight Manganese. The new saddle certainly won't make the bike any faster, but because of its magnesium rails it's considerably lighter than the original, and even more importantly it just feels much more sporty than the rather comfortable Triban 100 saddle. For €50 it's definitively no bargain, but in my opinion it was well worth its money, even though being a little overkill for the Triban 100. Something that bothered me right from the get-go was the originally installed steel fork. I just wasn't happy with such a heavy and bulky thing on something that's supposed to be light and fast. So I changed it for a carbon fork from Okai. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. The fork cost me €100, which sounds like a pretty good deal for a somewhat reputable brand. Of course, I could have also gone way cheaper by getting a Chinese no-name fork, but especially when it comes to the fork, a part which under no circumstances should break while driving, the extra I spent on a product of a somewhat renowned manufacturer was in my opinion worth it. By a long shot, the most expensive upgrade was the Mavic Axiom wheel set for about €165. Here I could have also saved some money if I had chosen a cheaper alternative, but because I have already heard so much good about these wheels, I could not resist to buy them. Next to the carbon fork, this was probably the most unreasonable upgrade, considering both parts together cost me more than the Triban 100 itself. But personally, I didn't feel any buyer's remorse whatsoever. With my new wheels, I was also able to change the somewhat dated sprocket you see on many cheap bikes for a more modern cassette. And while I was at it, I also decided to add another gear to my Triban. So first of all, I put the Shimano CS-HG50 cassette on my bike. The biggest pinion now still has 34 teeth, but the smallest has only 11 instead of the original 14. In terms of driving characteristic, this means that for climbs I still need to put the same power into the bike, but on level ground I'm a little bit faster. In order to use the extra gear, of course, I also had to take care of the rear derailleur and the shifter. Here I chose the Shimano Claris components to match the cassette. On one side the Claris derailleur is a bit more reliable than the original Tourney derailleur, on the other side it doesn't quite feel like a road bike component but more like it was made for a fitness bike. For my purposes though, it's more than enough. The old shifter was replaced by the Shimano Claris brake and shifter combo. Shifting the gears does not only feel much more intuitively, it's also much safer. Because in order to change gear with the old shifter you had to get your hand off the rear brake and onto the shifter. Especially when cycling in a city, not having your hand on the brake at all times is a bit nerve-wracking. With the new shifter you're able to both change gears and brake at one place without switching your hand left and right. That's definitively a lot more comfortable than previously. The last thing where I felt like it would slow the bike down were the tires the Triban comes with. They surely have a durable all-terrain tread, but with proper road tires you would be a lot more efficient, at least as long as you're not riding through dirt. So I changed the old 32mm wide tires for a pair of new 25mm wide Maxxis detonators. With their road optimized tire profile and the higher tire pressure you can run the detonators at, the rolling resistance was reduced quite noticeable and the bike got faster. In order to get it back to a standstill safely, I also changed the brakes. The new Campagnolo Potenza brakes don't just fit like a glove, they are also much more reliable and have far more power than the original no-name brakes. The most noticeable change with these upgrades installed was the weight of the Triban 100. According to B-Twin, the Triban 100 in box stock form weighs about 11.3 kg without its pedals. My Triban comes in at right around 9.5 kg, which means that I've saved almost 2 kg. But more importantly, the bike now feels much more sporty with its new saddle, its rims, the tires, the extra gear and its new shifter, while the Campagnolo brakes take care of stopping the bike reliably. Overall, I'm really happy with how this bike has turned out. In total, I've spent roughly €700 on this bike, including the price of the Triban 100 itself. Even though this sounds like a lot of money, I actually didn't regret spending this much. But is this bike with all its upgrades actually still worth it? For me at least, the question has two sides to it. On one hand, you will get a better bike for €700 than my pimped up Triban. Some particular aspects of my Triban, like its weight, the rims or the brakes, might be better than other bikes of this price category. The complete package you get from name brands, however, just can't be reached by my Triban. So if you just want the most bang for your buck, I'd suggest you to buy a complete bike for €700. For me, on the other hand, pretty much all the upgrades were well worth it. Because if you just like me enjoy working on your bike, or if you just want to gather some experience, for example to repair bikes yourself, I'd highly recommend such a project. Also, you have the opportunity to choose every part to your own personal preferences and wishes, which can be quite redeeming. Without the Triban 100 as a basic structure on which to build upon, such a custom bike at this price point is hardly feasible. And of course, you don't have to spend €700 on it. There are plenty of cheaper alternative upgrades than what you saw in this video. Now, before this video ends, I just wanted to give a short disclaimer that this video is no tutorial. If you want to modify your own bike, there are a few things you have to look for. First of all, plenty of components need special tools, and in some cases these can be a bit pricey. So if you're missing a tool, I highly recommend visiting your local bike shop and asking them if they can lend you the tool. Some even help you for free if you ask nicely. The second thing is that with most parts you have to watch for the compatibility between your bike and your new part. If you aren't sure if some part will fit your bike, you will find good advice in internet forums, or you can just ask the bike mechanic of your trust. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Also, I'm looking forward to reading your opinion on my bike in the comments. Thanks for watching, and until next time.